Okay, this is now the 5 minute tarot for the 30th of May 2017. And in this is the last of the 5 videos about the Celtic cross spread, where the fellow wanted to know how could he improve his financial situation. So card number 9 is the 5 of Batons. That's for his hopes and wishes. And card number 10, the final outcome, that shows the general direction in which things are going to go, is the 2 of Swords. So can he improve his, or how can he improve his financial situation? That what he hopes for, and this hopes and wishes rather, sort of refer to the future. It's a bit like, what direction do you think you're going in? Not do you want to go in, but do you think, you hope, you keep your fingers crossed that it's going to work out the way you want. But and if the card here happens to be reversed, maybe we would say this is what you're afraid of. But this card, the 5 of Batons, is upright, and you've got the 5 young fellows, and they're sort of competing with each other, and they're maybe making a noise or psyching themselves up to do something the way people might do before some kind of sporting activity. Okay, so if we look at there are 5 Batons in the picture, and they don't have a single direction, but they're kind of competing with each other, or they're trying to be dominant. There isn't one dominant Baton or one dominant individual, which makes us think that there isn't going to be one, or there isn't one dominant idea. So what's going to happen with the fellow is his hopes for his financial future are going to competing with each other. So he can hope for one, or improvement in one area, but he also hopes for improvement in another, maybe contradictory or competing area. So maybe when we look at it, maybe we say to him, it's going to be important to take charge and let's say, have a plan. Instead of having various possibilities, have a plan or an idea, or choose a direction which you want to go. Because this might remind us, or take us back to the 7 of Cups, where we've got, or he had, let's say, 7 different possibilities, and it was too many choices, and he wasn't sure what to do about any of it, and he was confused. So maybe that 7 of Cups, in combination with the 5 of Batons, is saying to him, sort out the situation, and choose or make a decision about what direction you're going to go in. Because it looks like his hopes, there are 5 Batons, so his hopes are scattered in different directions or in different areas, or maybe he's going to put a certain amount of energy into this plan and a certain amount of energy into another one, but he hasn't thought through how he's going to organize all his energy. So maybe the point is that we say to him, it's a good idea to be one-pointed, right? Have a single or a double direction in which you want to go, and channel your energy into that particular plan. And also so that, because remember, when the Magician comes along, because that's the card for the future, there will be new possibilities and new ideas. So because the Magician is number 1, maybe we would suggest that he has a single plan. Or when the new possibilities come along, he takes them one step at a time, or concentrates on just one project and gets it done, rather than dilute his energy and his efforts into many projects. And then he runs the risk of not getting any of them finished. There's somebody whose name I can't remember. He sold a course on how to get organized, and he gave the example of, let's say you've got 3 projects, so you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then Thursday something new comes along. Say, okay, that looks interesting. So suddenly you've got 4 projects. And then on the Friday, you get something else that you do. And then the next Monday, you do project 1 and 2. But then on Wednesday, project 6 or 7 comes along. So you end up at the end of a month having started or done some work on, let's say, 9 or 10 different projects, but you haven't got any of them finished. And that's the danger that you can run with the Five of Batons in the hopes and wishes position, that you end up doing a lot, but not really getting anything finished. So in many ways, you're no better off at the end of the month or the end of the 2-month period. You're no better off than you were at the beginning. Whereas the Magician's number 1, the Five of Batons might be focus and concentrate and consolidate what you've got rather than be scattered. And then the final card, the final outcome, is the Two of Swords, and it's upright. If the Two of Swords had been upside down, he would have been indecisive. So you would have to think, okay, he's not going to be able to improve his financial position because he's not going to be able to decide on something. And if he does decide, he's going to change his mind tomorrow, because that's a Two of Swords upside down. It's indecision. So you decide, but then you decide the opposite tomorrow. And then you go back to plan 1 on Wednesday and so on like that. So we look at this Two of Swords and we ask ourselves, is it good or bad? And so I like to think, or I'm going to say, this particular Two of Swords, given what's gone on before, the cards that have come up before, this is a good card. And I think it's good because the person in the picture has control of the swords. Right, he's got one in one hand and one in the other. They're crossed. And even though the two can represent more than one plan, and we're thinking, or I'm thinking, that a single plan is a good idea, nevertheless, he has control of the swords. And this compares nicely with the Eight of Swords and as the opposing force, where people felt trapped and unable to move. And the card in position number 8, the influence of other people who were afraid. So the final outcome, even though it's the Two of Swords, that you might think is a bad card, I think in this instance is good, because I think it's an indication that he's not going to be overly swayed or controlled by fear and doubt, shown by the Eight of Swords and the Page of Swords reversed. So he will be able to improve his financial situation, partly by focusing on 1 or 2 projects and putting energy and effort into them. So at this point, I forget what the question was. Was it, can he improve his financial situation, or how can he improve his financial situation? So can he improve his financial situation? Yes, because the Two of Swords is at the end. If he consolidates and chooses and narrows his focus, he'll do well. How can he improve his financial situation is a more complicated answer, but I think we've touched on activities that he can easily do. I say easily, but they're not that difficult if he can set his mind to actually dealing with what's important. So it's a more complicated answer, but it's still possible that yes, he can improve his situation. And so not being able to remember if the question is can he or how can he is a reminder that we ought to write down the question when it's asked, because it's easy to forget what the actual wording of the question was. And I think the tarot answers the question that has been asked, but it's easy to forget what the actual words were or what the actual question was. So when you decide what you want to ask, make sure you write it down, and then you won't get stuck later, because at least you know what the question was. Okay, tomorrow I'll do a summary of this particular spread, but not so much repeating what's been said, but looking at it from the point of view of the past, present, and future, because in a Celtic cross, a couple of the cards refer to the past, 4 refer to the present, and 4 refer to the future. And it's a way of organizing the cards that come up into to give you a different kind of way of looking at the spread and joining or combining particular cards, not in numerical order. been in a different kind of order to do with time. Okay, that's it for the moment. Thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.